All right, disc golf fans, here we are today on a Friday. It's a beautiful day here on the Disc and That podcast show. Here I am, one of your hosts, Southpaw Rob, and...
Hey, what's going on, y'all? C-Rod here, liking the Wayne's World impression, Rob. Bring it back old school. But yeah, happy Friday. Happy to be here once again.
And we have a special guest, but I'll let him tell him about yourself. Just tell him who you are.
All right. My name's Orlando Velasco. A little bit about myself. I grew up from West Texas area, a little town called Andrews, Texas. I represent Odessa, Midland area. Shout out to my boys up there. Whenever I first got started in disc golf, actually I started in Austin back in 2010. And what's funny is my brother and I, we used to go to Merrimore Seawright, which was basically my backyard course. But we used to go play basketball on the basketball courts.
You're a pretty tall guy.
Yeah, no, we'd always used to see gentlemen with backpacks walk into the woods and we're like, what the hell's going on? Like, what are they doing? So it's kind of funny, we didn't even really know what was going on. Fast forward 2 years later.
Just kidding.
Both of my youngest brother and one of my older brothers, they kind of got started at the same time, playing with one of my cousins and one of their friends. And for about 6 months straight, they were trying to ask me, hey, Orlando, come out, come play disc golf with us. And what's funny is whenever they asked me this, my first question was, why in the hell would anyone want to go throw frisbees out in the woods? Like, it just doesn't seem fun. So, like I said, after pushing for about 6 months, I finally said, fine, I'll go play an 18 or whatever. And after the 18 holes, my first question was, when are we going again? So I kind of got hooked after that. And it just became so fun and a part of my life because I used to play a lot of baseball, a lot of softball.
Nice.
And, to have that transition go into something to where you're actually hiking into the woods, you're playing in nature, having a good time with your friends, and competing not just against yourself or against your friends, but you're also competing against different courses that you play. So
for sure, yeah. No, that's good. And now I'm excited to get a little bit more into that. I mean, I kind of see Orlando as that. He kind of looks a little bit more in depth into the game, right? Like, he's gonna be able to kind of talk to you about a couple things that we were talking about, pre-show, and I was just like, yeah, you know what, man, this is a good way of looking at things, especially, amateurs coming in the game, all the way up to pros, right? Because basically to get to that level, you got to do the things he's going to kind of talk to you about. But before we get there, we kind of just wanted to recap. Rob, I mean, fill us in, man. What happened this past weekend with the Tour Championship?
Well, my boy lost. I was pretty sad about that. I'm not going to lie, I did cry a little bit.
Who's your boy, actually?
That's Isaac.
Isaac Robinson. Yeah. He had
on his teat.
Yeah. So to speak, right? No, Ricky pulled it off. I really didn't think Rick was going to win. I'm not going to lie. I stand corrected. Man, he shot hot. And we can talk about the format too, because I know that's been going out there, like the way the format was, and then was it conducive to like a good show?
Yeah. And shout out to Kristen to talk. Oh, actually.
Oh, here we
didn't win.
No,
yeah,
she took off with it, and that's what we're talking about.
No, Missy Gannon.
Well, no, I know. Missy Gannon took off with
it.
You know what I mean? She definitely had a really good 2 rounds, the last 2 rounds, and she was like +2 or +4. I think she wasn't shooting hot the first 2 rounds.
She deserved it. She fought.
It's a mental grind, and like that course lends itself to very 16, 17, 18, and when Ricky sank that putt, like 2 or 3 holes left from 60 or 75. It wasn't even in the circle. It wasn't even circle 1, circle 2. It was outside the circle. Up the hill, looking at an elevated basket. He hits, he's going to roll. He's definitely going to roll down.
No, he was locked, man. Super locked. I don't know if you saw it, man, but this guy was slinging putts from 30 to 70 to 80 feet. And it was a show. I mean, the fact that any of them thought it was going to be an honor to shoot -6, -7, and then he goes out and shoots a -10 on the semi-final round. So
that was actually a great round. And one thing I really respect about Ricky Wysocki is the fact that he's unafraid most of the time. Like, even though sometimes he might happen to shoot into the shit, he's he's trying his best to get out of it, and at the same time, he's not afraid to actually throw at those trees or try and hit those crazy ass gaps, because sometimes that's how you have to.
He's one of the best scramblers in the game, most definitely. And he ain't looking at scrambling to put it in a place where he can. No, he's looking at parking it, or trying to get the short. And most of the time he ends up parked or like within 30 or 25, which I think in the past few years he's gotten a lot better. He was always a good putter, but I think he's gotten better.
You age like fine wine, right?
Yeah, and it's just. He definitely was hot, and he knows how to win those tournaments. I just wish that, it was a major. He could have had another major, but...
And it's funny you say that. They gave a stat saying that whenever he has a 3+ stroke lead going into any tournament that he has a 3+ stroke lead in, I think it was like 95, 98% that he's always taking it down.
17-0, I believe.
Yeah, it was like
17-0
right?
When having a lead going into the final round.
Wow, that's actually a great statistic.
Yeah.
I believe it was 16, and then this was his 17th, or if not 17, going to his 18th. This one that he won.
Talk about mindset.
In a row. Like he said it. He talked about it on several podcasts. I wish he'd come on. Ricky Rusaki, shout out. We love you now.
Yeah.
No, we love you.
Just kidding. On your bandwagon.
I'm on your bandwagon. No, I met him in San Antonio a few years back, and he just bombed one, and I was just like.
I keep hearing
like how
to McLean.
Yeah,
I keep hearing about that.
Yeah, so definitely he talked about how he feeds off the crowd, and you could see like in his energy, like he says, like once I knew I had to sink that punt once Kyle Klein was parked, and he was like 25 feet. It was pretty much a tap in for him, but it was going downhill. Anything could happen, but I think he would have been within one, I believe. And then he ended up I think he was up by 2 or 3 at that time.
Kyle Klein probably could have played for par in 18 if Ricky ended up messing that up.
Yeah, had he not made that putt.
Yeah.
He sunk that putt. He even says, like, I wanted to drain the energy from the thing and just kind of... And you could tell, even in Kyle Klein's interview at the end, he was talking about how, man, it was deflating. Like, he hit that big putt, and then here I am. I don't get any strokes on him. I'm still making birdie too. And he just knew he just had to finish, not let old boy Calvin capture him from the back.
Disappointing, right? I mean, I keep hearing things about like they should change the format so a person could get rewarded for being at the top of the standings and whatnot. But when it comes down to a situation like this, if you're number one, you should prove that you're number one, and you should take that, right? I mean, that's the way I see it, right? I mean, yes, maybe he should get rewarded just for being there, and it's hard to be that consistent all year long and stay number one, right?
Exactly.
In a field like that.
Well, not only, I mean, this is the Disc Golf Pro Tour. It's not what it used to be. I mean, it hasn't been around very long, but to win now on the Disc Golf Pro Tour in a major event, not even just a major, like an Elite Series event,
dude.
Just to be in the top 10 is very impressive because the field is just stacked.
Right.
And, there's a lot of 1,000 rated players out there, but these guys are 1030, 1045, 1050.
Yeah.
And these guys are just at the best of the best, in the world.
And shout out to Kyle Klein, dude. Like, Kyle Klein's doing his
thing. A little chunk of change the past 2 weeks. USDGC in second at the Tour Championship.
Yeah.
I think it was like 50
he went like 30, 24 or something like that.
In a week and a half.
Yeah. And
he's young and upcoming, right?
Yeah, man. What is he? 21. I think he just turned 21, man. I mean, you look at the future.
And he's the kid who won. The Next Gen Tour. What used to be the NADGT in Austin.
Okay.
At Roy G. He's actually on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can check him out. He was playing Roy G. And the Next Gen Championships, which was like the NADGT National Championships.
Okay.
And I believe he got second or something like that in AMS. I don't know if it was that tournament or the World Championship AMS, and then he came back the next year wanting to win it, and he won it.
And
then he turned pro.
Crazy fact about that too is Kyle Klein is the first one to hold the championship, the USDWDG title and an amateur title. So he's the only one ever to win a title in both amateur and professional.
Oh wow, that's actually unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean. And that's just going to tell you
what the future.
Yeah, what the future is going to look like. It's crazy, man. I mean, there's little kids that are turning it on at 12 right now, 10, but then you got the Gannons and Kyles and Isaacs and even Ezra, man. Ezra's putting was ridiculous. It's It was crazy. He was hitting, he had like 10 circle 3 putts in the final round, between the last semifinal round and the final round, man. It was
a little too late for him again, but he came on. I mean, he did well too. I mean, he was in the top 10 for sure.
He'll be challenging his brother soon.
Sometimes it's not how you start; it's how you finish. And in a sense, whenever you finish strong like that, it kind of shows the character of what you become by the amount of effort and practice that you put into, or the time that you put into your practice.
No, for sure. And what's funny is, I mean, both Isaac and Ezra are like that. It runs in the genes, man, and it's probably gonna be an honor to see them play for many years. So I'm excited honestly, I'm really excited about 2024 season because it's just more people on the scene, and anyone could take it at any day.
And we got to talk about it, man.
What is it?
So this was all over Reddit, and it was all over social media.
Oh yeah, that's what you told me about.
It was on. So it was on.
I don't know if you heard about it, Orlando, but listen to this.
So hole 18. Tell me how you feel about this. You know, whether they deserve a suspension or whether it's, you know, how you feel about red cars. So apparently the DGPT apparently had a
live stream
on hole 18. On hole 18, and it was about an hour and a half into the coverage or so. It's probably on Reddit still. But Katrina Allen and Jessica Weiss.
And it was the second round to qualify into the final rounds for the final 8 females.
And so apparently they were getting into it. You could hear it all over the audio. I mean, you really couldn't see anything from what I hear, and what I've listened at, because I've listened to it, and you can clearly hear what.
There's some B words and F words and everything.
And it's like, I'm like, oh, they're going back and forth, and then in the background you can hear Ella Hansen, I want to leave.
And they're questioning each other's integrity because apparently Jessica Weiss said that she took an 8. Katrina Allen was saying that she took a 10. Ultimately, I think they said that they came down that she took a 9. So they're both wrong.
It was on hole 18, obviously.
Right? But at the end of the day, Jessica Weiss was sitting in like 6th or 7th place. She took it ended up being like a 5-time bogey to take a 10 or a 9, 4-time quadruple bogey, quad bogey to take her out of the final.
Because it was a par 5, right?
It was a par 5 for women's, yeah.
So
that was the whole conflict with. But like Rob was getting to, I mean, do you think it deserves a suspension?
Because you could, because let me give you some more context. So you can clearly hear, just so he understands a little more, he can make a little more informed decision before he passes it to you. So the other thing you could hear was, Katrina Allen saying like, how do you not know how to count? This has been
after playing this
many years, and then B, I've been playing for a lot longer than that, and then blah blah blah, and then
FNB,
and then somebody's like, no, this is bullshit or something like that. You can hear somebody, and then the marshal apparently had to come and kind of step in at some point, and then they finally finished the round. But the other context is that I've heard also. I don't know whether it's true or not.
This is Rob's theory.
This is my theory, that it has more to do with Double G than anything else. Because back in the day, I think they were an item at some point. I don't know.
And Double G and Weiss are engaged.
Yeah, so
actually,
there's some underlying tones there, I think. Some hidden sexual animosity. I don't know. But either way, I think whether it's true or not, I mean...
We'll save that for our next episode of Taxi Cab Confessions.
Oh, yeah. Well, but, and then I think the last thing they said is, like, just because you're having a bad round doesn't mean you have to ruin it for everybody, or, you know what I mean? Something along those lines. But, so what do you think? Suspension, no suspension, and then how do you feel about, have you ever been in a situation like that, or...
In the heat of the moment, whenever you have emotions going on at the same time, you're on national coverage.
I think they forgot.
Yeah, I mean, well, at the same time, I bet you're not even really aware of how much the microphone coverage can actually hear.
Right.
But at the same time, you still got to have respect for the game and respect for who you're playing with, the card mates, and I don't think it should have gotten elevated that much. And Jessica's the one who got suspended, right, or both of them?
Well, no, they haven't. This is a alleged story from the UDisc scorekeeper, right? Okay. And you can clearly hear it on coverage, though. But then it kind of went crazy on Reddit, and then it kind of got to social media. And then they were saying on there that apparently the DGPT or the PDG, I don't know who it lands on, but apparently the DGPT now are looking at giving fines to tour card holders or something like that. That's what I heard. I don't know. I don't think there's enough money
Well,
in the game for that. But
I mean, yeah, don't charge them. They're not NFL or NBA stars. Don't give them $25,000 fines. But I mean, I know a little $100, $200 fine, $500 fine. That's a and a player making $45,000 to $50,000 a year. That's a significant fine, and probably gonna make them watch their mouth next time and whatnot, or take it just more professionally, like Orlando said.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, actually, there was an experience that we quite had this summer playing the Sizzler. We were on a four card. It was 3 gentlemen.
Junction, right?
Yeah, Junction. They're in the MP50 class.
Oh man!
And they were having a discussion. I don't know, right? They were having a discussion about one of the gentlemen who, I guess, he had taken a 4. Whenever they kind of argued and said, "No, you took a 5, this and that." And I mean, one of the gentlemen was. Apparently, the morning before, he had been arguing with his wife. So, I mean, he kind of got out of the wrong. How do you say it? He woke up on the wrong side of the bed that day.
Well, he didn't wake up on the bed like he wasn't even allowed to sleep on the bed.
So, to kind of bring that, that attitude, mindset, and energy into your disc golf round. I mean, eventually, it got to a point where he just kind of blew up and started talking shit to this other guy, and it ruined everything, man, because we had to wait on them. So
we were actually in front of you.
Yeah, they were ahead of us by like three holes.
And you caught them.
We caught them, and they just.
Did you film it?
No, we didn't film it.
Should have filmed it.
But I mean, I've never really been in a situation like that before, to where I've witnessed and almost it was almost about to get down, dude, almost to an actual fist fight.
I would never condone that, and like you said, it drains the energy from the card, which that's my stance on it. It slows the game down. People's competitiveness, comes through in different ways. Anger, it's just manifesting itself however it does, and at some point, you got to say, just let's move on, let's go, whatever. If not, then that's when I believe the fine should be. Once the marshal says, hey, let's go, people are going to say stuff, and people talk smack all the time. People are pencil whoopers all the time, or forget and have amnesia or whatever score they had.
I feel like we as
also bounced 6 times, man.
I feel like we as individuals also need to mature a little bit and discipline our disappointments. Anytime we're disappointed, just to learn to sit there and focus on our next step. Because if we're always peeking back at the past, or always looking back at the past, it's going to be hard because we're always focusing on the problem rather than focusing on the solution. Instead of what happened to me, what am I going to do about it?
Yeah, most definitely. That's definitely a mindset, and that's one of the things we're going to get into. Later here with Orlando. I've met him a few years ago, and a really good friend of mine. That's why he's on the podcast. I've played with him multiple times, multiple minis. Never really so much in a tournament, but definitely we went together. We shared a room in Junction at the Sizzler, not on the same bed, but definitely a room, and it was fun. We had a good time, and that's why we have him on here. He's definitely got a different insight, and I really enjoy his conversations, and we have some definitely in-depth, especially about the mindset between the ears, right?
Yeah, man, that's kind of what Orlando, you taught me that. I'm pretty new to the game, and talking to a lot of these veterans who have been, playing it or just kind of see it in a different way. It's always good to kind of learn, right? Just kind of open your ears a little bit and kind of see how other people see it. It'll really help your game out. Especially if you're an amateur coming into the game, it could be very discouraging, very frustrating. So, I kind of just want to hop into it, Orlando. I know you had a couple things you wanted to talk about, just looking into the mindset of things and, how you view the game and things of that sort. So, share with us a little bit of, how you view it and, advice, things that you can recommend to a lot of these people up and coming, or, even as a experienced player, right? How you handle your game and your mentality.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
What's funny is I've been playing for a little over 12 years now. The first 5-6 years of my life, I was playing casual All I threw is a destroyer and a wizard.
That's all you need, man.
And what's funny is the first 3 years I actually used to throw a groove. I don't know if you've ever done
Oh, the groove, man. The
I've seen
rim.
lots of stories.
I had to cut my hand many times on the grooves.
I ended up fairly lucky. You don't really hear many stories about this, but my youngest brother, he hit his first ace 2 weeks after starting.
Dang.
Not my oldest brother, but my older brother, some of y'all might know him, Jerry.
Oh, yeah.
He happened to hit his first ace 3 months in. It took me 6 months in, but I happened to hit a hole 4 there at Marymore. And once you hit an ace, or once you make a 100-foot putt, or just do something that doesn't seem like you're physically capable of doing, you get hooked, man.
Yeah.
It's so exciting. And that's what I love about the game, because shots like that won't always happen, but at the same time, one of my favorite philosophies is by Arnold Palmer, and he says, the more I practice, the luckier I get. So if you think about it, if you're consistently throwing the same hole, same shot, same release, eventually one of these things is going to go in.
Yeah. And they're going to get better.
Exactly,
You're going to know what to use. You're going to know how to play it, things of that sort. And
you're going to develop that repetition. It's going to come to a point to where visualization meets execution, and to where you see it happening before, and as long as your release is how you want to release it, in a sense, that muscle memory is going to take it to where you're either parking it or putting it past it, or even hitting it.
It's like a follow flight line. Imagine like a follow flight line, and you're just hitting that line, and
Of course, it doesn't always happen, and that's we shouldn't always get discouraged when it doesn't. But keep in mind that the more we're persistent and the more we're consistent, it becomes, we end up doing it more than not.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, and I think you can see that, right? Like from every level of disc golf, like you see some people get down on themselves, and I'm guilty for it every now and then, and I do notice it now, which is why I do it less, right? Just as far as like getting down on myself.
Not last week.
Oh, last week was a different story. No, it's just one of those things where you prepare, you practice, you plan, and things just don't go as your way. And I think that's where you learn the most, and that's where I learned. I was like, okay,
you go -5, and then you just get bogeys like everywhere.
yeah, man, it was a bad round. It was frustrating. I hadn't played around like that in a while, but by the end of it, I still kind of kept it together to finish strong. Before I probably would have just fallen apart and came out last. But again, that kind of goes to where any stage of the game, like you're saying, Orlando, it's just one of those things where your mindset is definitely going to depend how you score and how you play after falling down and things of that sort.
For sure.
Gotta get back up. Always get back on that horse, man. Who caught you, by the way? Did somebody catch you on your card?
On my card, yeah, I let myself go down to a mediocre player, and I let you.
I did catch you. I said I was gonna see if he said I'm gonna catch Papa. I go, hey, dude, I'm gonna catch you. We're gonna get to like 14, and you're gonna come back to me. Because I was playing
catch
horrible.
me, or did I fall back?
No, I got birdies. That was like a +4 or something like that. It was horrible.
That was at -5.
Yeah, he was at -5 and I ended up catching him.
Yeah,
I was at like +4 or 5 at one point.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't play too well, but like I said, I feel I learned the most from that on.
I think we kind of mirrored that energy, like getting back to like the mindset. Like I think like he was angry and I was angry, and then like we kind of like switched positions. I was all happy, and then he was all mad.
We both ended up balanced at the end.
Yeah, we ended up like, no, you were still pretty mad that I caught you.
No, I wasn't mad that you caught me. I was mad that I dropped 6 strokes in 5 holes.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah,
it was really windy. If you never played Pearsall Park in San Antonio, Texas, in Southside near the Traders Village.
Actually, I've never played it.
You've
What?
never played
I've
Pearsall?
never played Pearsall.
Really?
What is wrong with you?
Oh, this is a whole topic on its own.
You're always in San Antonio. How do you not play Pearsall? We're gonna take him to go play Pearsall.
Yeah, we got to go play
When it's
Pearsall.
really sunny.
I mean, it's nothing
sunny.
spectacular,
Like
but
when
it's a
it's a
different course that you're going to be like, wow, I didn't know this course existed over here.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard all about it. I
Yeah.
just never had a chance.
It's an
to
old
really make it.
landfill.
Oh,
It's
really?
an old
Okay.
landfill that they covered up and they made parks, and they made a long disc golf course. People use it as trails, ATVs.
What's actually cool is a bunch of the best parks that I've actually played happen to be in that same vicinity, or just old gutter systems or channel, we call it little channels because I don't know, it's just fun, man. Cat Hollows like that.
Oh yeah.
There's a place in Lubbock, Texas called May Simmons. That course is actually really fun if you ever get to play in West Texas. A lot of trick shots. Well designed course. I really enjoy it.
Nice.
I used to play the Luck of the Draw. I played it like 3 years.
Oh, really? In Odessa?
In Odessa.
Okay. Man, actually,
Apache, or is it not Apache? It's not Apache. It's the two courses that are
It's called
Comanche. Apache is way off.
Comanche South, and they also play Comanche West.
Samsonite. That was way off.
No, it's that's pretty funny.
This guy. But, no, I was just gonna say, yeah. Well, what else
You
you
come
got?
back from
What else you got?
That's
No, just but definitely a mindset, and really quick before we get into some of this other stuff, Discmania, they just got bought out. Do we know by who?
Yes.
Boop, 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 boop.
How's with this?
House of the Disc. They're venture capitalists, I believe, out of Europe.
Yeah, but they also have under their umbrella. They have everyone on the West Side, Latitude 64.
Sounds like a monopoly to me, brother.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. I mean, but technically,
They said no, it's not, and it's good for the game. I really do think it's good. They're gonna inject a lot of money into Dynamic Disc, which I know they own, or I don't know their financier. I don't know how that works, but they're under their umbrella now. They have Discmania, so I think.
Did you hear about that?
Sometimes that's what it's really about. It's about merging, and sometimes, I mean, like, what's crazy is seeing Lone Star. 5 years ago, they had maybe one or two molds. They had the penny putter, and I forgot what else they had.
But I think they come from money, though.
Well, for sure. I mean, yeah. It's really, they say, innovative how much money they put into it, and also how much rubber they actually had available to be able to create so many different molds.
Especially like during COVID and materials were hard to come
how many?
by.
What, like 22 different molds now?
Yeah, they got. I mean,
It seems like they're signing like 10 people every week, and then like they have a new mold every other day.
Yeah, and if it's sponsored by them, you got to bag 90% of their stuff as well. So I mean, they're filling slots
for sure.
Yeah.
I've only thrown a few of their discs, but I still haven't kind of caught on the bandwagon just yet.
It's just kind of hard to get on a different bandwagon once you're on a bandwagon. I mean, I guess I could say that like that's how I am with Mint, but
I like variety, man.
Yeah.
I like variety, but I've learned to love my sponsors, Plastic Gateway, and they're starting to make more molds that are definitely.
But it's hard for me to go away from the Firebird and the Destroyer.
Oh
right?
yeah, most definitely. But they've come out with some new discs. I mean, definitely some the Journey. You have now the Realm. Definitely these new discs.
I would say I like that sword you throw. That one's a pretty nice one.
Oh yeah.
The Phantom Sword, is that what it is?
No, that's no, it's not the Phantom Sword. I can't remember which one it is.
No, the Phantom Sword is a different one. It's
I'm talking about a West Side disc.
Yeah,
it's not that one.
it's a spear.
The spear.
The
yeah.
spear. Yeah, there you
It's
go.
nice.
I kind of want to start seeing what Gateway is all about, because I use their putters, and I've used their putters pretty much my entire career.
Because you're Warlock or Voodoo? Which one?
No, it's a Wizard and Warlock.
The Warlock.
I use my Warlocks for whenever I need a little bit straighter shot for about another 10, 12 feet. That's whenever I use my Warlock. But man, Wizards, I feel like they're magic in my hand, and
I love the way
I've actually had to relearn my putting 3 times.
Wow.
Because what's funny is most of the time you hear people say, "Oh, I need to switch my putter. I need to do all these different things." All I can say is that
It's not the bat, it's the batter.
Exactly. If you find what works for you and you actually have that consistent release, to know that from that point, it's just a matter of how much rotation you put on that putter to spin. It just becomes a matter of muscle memory.
And you were talking about that earlier too, like the spin putt versus smush putt and stuff like that, right?
Well, I actually, what's funny, it's a modified spush. You call it spin and push.
Yeah.
So I kind of spin the putt, but at the same time, I kind of act like I'm pushing something from my chest into the target, which in a sense prevents me from having to do jump putts because I'm a terrible jump putter.
Same.
Mine doesn't line up. I putt from distance.
And in a sense, I can putt from a standstill without having to really step or force it. I'd say about 65, 70 feet.
Yeah.
I was told it's just about shifting your weight, literally just from the back of your heels to the front of the balls of your feet. That much power, really, and then because I'm a push spin putter. So
Yeah.
to me, it's just lining this up. But when it's not good, he's seen it.
Yeah. Well, from that point too, as well. I mean,
Also, last week.
if your spin isn't that strong just yet, you might have to flex it just a little bit.
Yeah.
But in a sense, if you're a solid spin putter, it really, really helps in the headwind.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's why I think people's putting translates into, like, Ricky will struggle in the wind, like in the deep wind, because he's a straight up and down putter. But then somebody's like Simon Lazat, like he's got a really spinny putt.
Even Calvin. I've seen Calvin, like, with that wind, he tends to hit cage a lot.
Well, because he's got an up and down putt.
Right,
It's
and
not really
it just falls.
You need that spin to cut through, and that's what people.
Like Isaac's his is solid in the wind.
Isaac's good at everything, man.
And Gannon. But no, yeah, that's definitely some different things to look at, right? Coming into the game and whatnot, people don't realize, like, they just kind of see what they see, but they don't really try. So they'll see a pro too, and they're like, "Oh, I want to try and putt like that pro," instead of finding what works for them and
Exactly.
things of that sort.
And that's one thing I want to talk about too, is because a lot of people, it's a monkey see, monkey do world.
Mhm.
And in a sense, I say if you see someone about your same size, relative, because it's hard, like for instance, if I'm looking at someone who's a little shorter frame than I am, it's hard for me to imitate his motion and everything, simply because I'm a little taller.
Right.
And my body mechanics are just slightly different. So I do say find someone who's about the same size, and if you like what they're doing, and you just, I'm not saying to copycat, to be an exact copycat, but utilize it and make it into your own.
Yeah, no. Just because it's closest to the form, rather than having 6'6" people, 6'5" people looking at their long extensions and things
For
of that
sure.
sort. Yeah.
That's one thing that really helped me learn a lot, because I was along the lines kind of self-taught for my first 5 years up until I started playing competitively, and then just from that point I was like, oh, well, this is the disc I need to throw for this line, or this is a different release point, because in a sense I feel like I have a different release point whenever I'm throwing high-speed drivers compared to a fairway driver or even like a mid-range. I feel like my pull-through and my release point happen to be just like, if I were to try and throw those exactly like my drivers, it would just be terrible.
Yeah, that makes sense, definitely.
In a sense, like the speed on the speed on the disc, if whatever numbers those are, if you throw it at that specific speed, that's how it's going to fly.
It's funny you say that too, because like sometimes you'll have like I see a lot of myself. I used to do it. A lot of AMs coming into the game, whatnot. Like they'll try to start learning how to throw putters and mids, and they're just trying to throw the crap out of them as hard as they do their drivers and whatnot. And sure, that works, but I mean, really, like you're saying, put that necessary speed on the disc, and it's gonna take the flight that the disc was meant to, take in the first place. And
for sure. And at that point, if you need to throw a little harder, then in a sense, if you know that disc happens to ante out every time you release, then hey, put on a little hyzer on it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just work. I mean,
Working
practice.
as it goes.
Not practice makes perfect, but practice
makes
makes
you
for preparation, at the same time consistency.
yeah,
And in a sense, being consistent with how you're releasing, from that point it just becomes a sense of muscle memory. And okay, well, this shot's 310. Okay, well, this is how much I need to put. I've done that before, or plenty of times. Just let me put it into play now.
it's funny to say that. I keep saying the same quote from Kristen Sitar over and over, and she keeps just saying like, my body already knows how to do it. I've trained it, right? It's just my mind that says otherwise and whatnot. And so, that's kind of a clear example of that saying right there. Is just train your body to remember certain shots and things of that sort.
Yeah, one thing I like about the Japanese is we have a saying here in the United States: practice until you get it right.
Yeah.
They have a saying: practice until you can't
get it
wrong. Yeah. And in a sense, like it becomes second nature.
Yeah.
It's almost like breathing. It's autonomous. And in a sense, with your putting, with your driving, with the way you play your game, because if you end up missing, we'll talk about Ricky Wysocki. He could sit there and try and tower over these trees, and if he ends up missing that shot and he's in the deep shit, I mean, think about being in the deep shit and trying to get out. Think of how frustrating it can be if you're trying to line up your next shot and you hit the tree in front of you and you're like, what the heck, man? You know, I'm trying to sit there and get out of this as quick as I can, and sometimes you don't, but it's great because you see his composure, and he keeps a solid composure, but guess what? He keeps shooting he keeps trying to park the hole. That's what I like best about that.
And you can see it. It's like him and other pros, that's the difference of why we're not pros, right? Is like they could just instantly, boom, hit a tree, and they're like up ready. Okay, now I got to plan my next shot. I can't worry about that shot no more. They're already moved. They moved on already. They're no longer thinking about that shot, and I think that's a big difference, you know. Besides putting, that really brings that next level, you know, kind of player on.
Most definitely. So next level players. So the end of the year is here for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We have 2 awards.
And the community.
We have end of the year party. Shout out to ACDC.
We'll talk about that here before we go offline for sure.
Excited for that this weekend here at Greytown. But we have the DGBT awards. I don't know how many there are. I think there's maybe 2 that I remember.
Well, I did a poll today on some of them. So, of course, you're going to have your Player of the Year for both MPO, FPO. But on there as well was your Rookie Player of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And then also your Female Most Improved and Male Most Improved. So there's like 4 awards, not including also the MVPs of the season.
Okay. So the Player of the Year, right?
Yeah, so Player of the Years and then those additional awards for, you know, again, the Rookie of the Year and the Most Improved.
Well, you know who I got for Player of the Year.
Yeah, I mean, Rob, guys, if y'all don't know already, you are really not listening.
It's not a bias. I just think 2 majors matter, and Isaac Robinson, you know, Calvin, there's definitely an argument for how consistent he played and how consistently he got second. I mean, I don't know if that sounded right, but I mean, it's the truth.
I mean, I guess the 2 major makes up for the 14 92nd places, right?
Yeah.
It's true. No, I mean, it depends on what you're looking at. Are you looking at it from the perspective of as a Player of the Year, right? It's very close because, you know, Isaac Robinson had 2 majors in 1 year, only out of 4. That's what people remember the rest of our lives, right? When they look back at year 2023, what are they going to remember? How many tournaments Calvin won, or they're going to remember how many majors somebody won and who won majors?
Well, I don't think they're going to remember either, but
that's true.
Ultimately, though, I mean, and then you look on Calvin's side of things, right? Because I'm a Calvin fan.
I am a Calvin fan too, but
Bannon's up there too. But he won a few Elite Series.
He's got the most wins, though.
Right? But the biggest thing is when he lost, he really lost.
That's
you know what I mean. You know when he lost it. But then Calvin, I believe. So just looking at some stats, right? He had a higher average rated round per round all year round than anybody else, right? And then he also he played 23 tournaments and ended up the points tour champion. Isaac Robinson played 24, and of the 23 that Calvin played, he never placed above the top 10. And he placed in half the tournaments. He was like
out of the
top
10,
3. Yeah, he never placed out of the top 10 in any of his tournaments.
Wow.
And then Isaac
might have to fact check you on that one.
Check it out.
I don't think so.
Yeah. I mean, he did. He was up there every time, and then I think he had the most podium finishes for the year.
Well, he did. He's on the podium. He just wasn't in the.
He just wasn't warm. But that's huge. I mean, that's also huge, right?
And he definitely well deserving. All 3 of those guys, I think those are the only 3 guys definitely in the discussion.
And you could even probably bring in number 4, number 5, number 6 into the discussion, but
not. Yeah, no, definitely not. But those 3 for sure. My votes. I think Calvin's going to win it though. I think it's a fan vote, or not a fan, player card.
People love Calvin.
And then also media or something like that. So it's only 2 types of vote, whether the players on tour and then, you know. So who you got for player of the most improved player?
For
most comeback player of the year is what it is.
Yeah, comeback player of the year. So for male, I'm actually going to go with Ricky. I think that he started off with some injuries. His season could have kind of gone along the lines of Eagles, because Eagle kind of was on that injury bus and things of that sort, like Ricky. But ultimately, Ricky came back, and he started placing high. He got up there in the point standing, and he proved to other people that he was not going anywhere soon. And then and then he comes and wins the distance.
When he's on, nobody's going to be
right. And it's one of those things where, the whole field wasn't there at the Tour Championship. What was it, 32 people? But I mean, those are the best in the world, best 32 people in the world. So when he goes and he takes down that tournament, I think that
handily. And the only person who was, I think, the only people that were close was Kyle, and then everybody was kind of coming close, but not. I mean, there were a few strokes back, but they weren't going to win it. It was only him and Kyle.
And in Kyle, we're probably looking at the MVP of next year. Just kind of, I mean, if it's not Isaac or Calvin again, but then FPO, Comeback Player of the Year, it just depends if it's comeback or most.
Player of the Year, I guess, it's Kristen Tatar. That's why we probably sleep over, but she well deserved.
Yeah, I mean,
well deserved.
Well deserved. She earned most money, won most. I was looking at her stats, and she actually didn't place worse than 7th in any tournament this year.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and it was only one tournament, and other than that, her worst other finish was 5th place. And then she had like 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd places. But I was like, dang. And she was the most money earner out of MPO and FPO. Like, she's hands down the most valuable disc golf player. You know what I mean?
She's under that big umbrella now with
House of Disc.
Yeah. House of Disc. And so that's going to be interesting how that works out too. But
yeah.
Most improved?
Most improved. It was Missy. I was going to say Missy Gannon.
For female?
For female.
FPO? I wouldn't disagree.
Even Owen, but I think Missy Gannon was just a little more consistent earlier on in the year to the end.
How about Rookie of the Year? Who was on the ballot for Rookie of the Year?
I think you had like Aiden for guys.
Orlando. Let him check. Yeah. Let him choose one here.
It was like Aiden Smith. He's a new up and comer one. You had like Jake Wolf on there. You had who was on there? I mean, I'll be honest, I wasn't too familiar with a whole lot of them. I just remember seeing one in the tournament here.
Is Evan Scott on there?
Evan Scott is not. He's more.
He's just coming up.
Yeah. I guess more than anything. I guess. What's your take? I don't know how much you know about Isaac Robinson and Gannon and Calvin. I mean, Orlando. I mean, what would be your take on the Player of the Year for them?
As far as how they've played, the couple of rounds that I did catch, I really enjoyed Calvin, and in a sense,
he's a great player.
I just like the way he attacks.
Yeah, he's always in attack mode for sure.
Yeah.
And it seems like even if he misses shots, whatever, he just always focusing on what am I going to do next.
Definitely one of the most chillest guys. I mean, I don't know.
Hear he's got a wicked sense of humor.
Oh yeah, dude. If you see the skins matches, he's
pretty raw, and he's pretty He's a cool guy.
Yeah.
What it looks like. Well, I've seen him on the past few podcasts and stuff here recently since the end of the season, but definitely a cool guy. We'd love to have you on too, Calvin. We love you.
Cool fact, though. I didn't know he had his chemical engineering degree.
He's a smart guy, too.
Yeah.
And he's like insulting you, but like intelligently.
Yeah, dude. It's crazy. It sucks because you can't really attack him. It's like, damn, you're a good disc golf player. I'm pretty sure he played pretty good ball back in the days, things of that sort. And, again, with the education and smarts, I mean, that just goes to tell you where his mindset is at with,
He's breaking the game down a whole different way.
He's breaking these holes and courses down. That's what he's doing.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
But, I mean, just look at it. There's going to be some close races.
I want to say my comeback player of the year before we leave, because I think it's worth mentioning, is James Proctor.
Oh, yeah. That's
James Proctor, that dude. I mean, I know he's been around and he really hasn't toured a lot, but that dude's a sick putter. He's just
crazy
sick putter, and he's just really consistent too. Like he's one of those guys that everybody knows he's really good, like what he's capable of, but he's not like out there. And here in the next few years, if he continues with the tour, just watch him, Kyle, obviously my boy Isaac, Ezra coming up.
And hadn't James Proctor made the last putt and made it into the tour championship? He was kind of my dark horse to win it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would have been up there.
That was kind of he missed it to let old boy in. What's his name?
Nicholas Antela.
He thought he had lost.
Antela thought he was out.
Yeah, so that was another little storyline there.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't know if you saw that, but kid had like a 50-footer to win the tournament. I mean, to win the tournament.
This guy.
He had a 50-footer to hit that last spot to make it into the championship, right? It's the final 12 guys. missed his putt. James Proctor had a circle one putt. Had he made it, he would have been in final spot. Missed it. Nicholas Ansela then made his putt to get in over Proctor because he was a higher ranked player.
He missed a comebacker, didn't he? He missed a comebacker, right?
Yeah.
For par or something?
Well, no.
Or for bogey, and they ended up getting a double or something like that?
Well, he ended up, because they tied, actually, Proctor was the higher rank. And over Ansela. Ansela was 25.
Because he would have been tied him anyways. All he had to do was make the putt to tie Ansela.
To tie him and then overtake the spot.
What a swing of emotions.
Yeah.
To think that I just shot my.
Because he took a bogey and Ansela took a par. And going into the hole, he was up a stroke, obviously.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah. So it was. And same thing with, again, going back to Jessica Wee. She was in solid 6th or 7th place out of the 8. Took a quad, and that took her out of it all. That was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
And that's how Stacey Ronsley got in. Shout out to Stacey Ronsley. She could also be a comeback or most improved player of the year as well, or rookie.
Most definitely. Mm-hmm. We got several things coming up. We're so excited for the podcast, and we're going to be closing up our season. With the natural season of the disc golf, and we've got a few more episodes left on this season. We're going to have a few special guests, and send in your feedback. We'd love to hear it, and definitely like and share our stuff so that we can learn, and like and share it, obviously, so that we can get out there. And then, you have any ideas of things you'd like to see, people you'd like to see, things you'd like to see more of, less of. Definitely some giveaways. I know Chris is going to talk about that here in a minute, but thank you, Orlando, for coming on our show. Always a welcome guest and always a welcomed personality.
And before we leave, everyone, because we want to have a couple things we just want to announce and whatnot. I know you were talking to me earlier about a couple more mindset things, Orlando, right? I wanted viewers to hear it, just to kind of, again...
Leave them with this.
Yeah, again, Orlando's always been a huge advice person for me. Like, when I'm playing this card, I can't even get mad because I'm like, I can't kill the vibe that this dude is bringing on my card, and that I'm spreading out as well. So I kind of want him to share that with you, just kind of words of wisdom to kind of take into your next round, next tournament, things of that sort.
Yeah, man. One thing I like to talk about is accepting a challenge, because most of the time, whenever we're faced with challenges, there's two things we can do, and they derive from the word fear. And fear can have two meanings. It can say, forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And whenever we learn to accept the challenge and actually grow through these things, rather than go through them, but grow through them, just think of how stronger we become, at the same time more resilient whenever things do happen. I took a bogey, dust ourselves off, get ready for the next shot, man.
Yeah.
Because to me, I find that's what my old baseball coach, he used to hit us ground balls all the time. And whenever we would make a mistake and he would see us pouting, kicking dirt, oh shit, why'd I miss this shot? Mm-hmm. He would kind of poke fun at us a little bit here and there. And what he was doing, he would hit us another one. If he see us and we would shut up, make the play, he would shut up and hit it to the next person. So he was trying to take a look and try and teach us at the same time to be psychologically in tune, not to get emotionally attached to what just happened.
Yeah. He was more worried. It seemed like he was worried more about how do you bounce back.
Yeah, or you better be focused on the next ball coming at you, because if you're focused on the error that you made, you're not going to be ready and prepared to actually make the next play.
It's just going to carry on.
And it's going to continue. You're going to continue to make errors. You're going to continue to kick dirt and get frustrated and lose your composure, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and it's funny how no matter what sport you play, that kind of carries over to any kind of sport you play, including disc golf, huh?
Even life, man.
Even life, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect at the same time. I'm still mastering these things, but the more I work on them, the more resilient I become, and how can I say this? It just becomes more natural. If a problem exists, instead of actually putting the problem on a microscope or turn it into a Mount Everest, thinking that it's impossible to climb, turn it into a speed bump instead, and Just do it. Just get over it.
And that motherfucker over.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Find solution. That's what
it's true. I mean, be solutions oriented, and it's definitely a growth mindset and having a way of being, and it lends itself to have that positive outlook on life and energy. I believe a lot in energy and the growth mindset, and that's why I gravitated towards Orlando over here, and always really good energy and vibes on the course, and love it, man.
Appreciate it. There was one last thing I do want to talk about, and of course, once we know how our discs fly, once we know how to release, from that point it becomes visualization. Whenever you visualize your shot, in a sense, before a house can be built, a person can't just sit there and go start building. Like, they have to have a blueprint.
Right.
So in a sense, you have to build it twice. So a person before they build that building, they have to draw it. They have to visually see it. Even before it's there, I could take Rob, to a remote location to where it's open, vacant lot. And I say, you see that right there? You see it? And he goes, what, man? I just see an open space. Like, we're just caliche, it's pasture, whatever. I say, no, this is my building. This is my workshop. This is my facility. And in a sense, having that sense of visualization and then executing on top of that, to me, I find that to be the strongest part of my game, because teaching people that sense, that way, they can take the tools in their bag and use them. That's simply how we do it. We utilize every single disc that we've got to find out what shot that works best for. In a sense, like, kind of weigh up the differences. Okay, well, what's my higher percentage of a backhand shot compared to the flick shot? Or even a thumber, too, because, I like to throw thumbers as well.
Yeah.
I know you do.
So. Yeah, and that's a good way of looking at it, for sure. And one crazy thing, we were talking earlier, I forgot about what, but one thing I was going to mention is, like, something so simple as remembering and knowing, like, the terminology of disc golf: turn, fade, anhyzer, hyzer, things of that sort, that really helps with knowing and getting better as well, too, because how many times I could remember being on a course and they're like, "Oh, try that on a little bit more hyzer," and then I'd throw Annie on it, or they're like, "Hey, try throwing a little more Annie," and I'm over here putting a major hyzer, and I'm like, man, why is my destroyer only going 100 feet? And so, yeah, that's man, funny. Terminology is huge. Just like if you're picking up the game, like anything you pick up, right? Knowledge is power, and simple things like that. That's where you can start off at, and just understanding. What does turn mean? What does fade mean? What does, even just the concepts, the little stuff that, it's funny, I don't mean to go too much off topic, but my brother told me about a tournament we played where the guys were just so tense, and one of the guys was like, "Hey man, check with us next time you throw. You foot faulted just a little bit on a patent pending throw." And then they were talking like, "Oh man, fellas, this is why you need to know your disc." And that person who just wasn't bringing a good vibe, but what I'm getting to is like the little stuff, terminology, before you get out there, play a course, little things like that. Like,
be a learner.
Yeah, be a learner so that you're not taking it so serious, right? That's why MA1 guys, pro guys, they play a little looser. They don't worry about the little stuff like that because they do their homework to start everything off and whatnot.
I think that's just life. Just to tie everything together, really, you need to just be vulnerable and be brave and be curious. Come from a space of understanding and a space of being curious to learn new things that somebody has.
Don't be afraid to get a 10 on a hole.
Yeah, exactly. Be a student.
Yeah.
And I think that's ultimately what it boils down. And you're going to get a lot. You'll learn a lot.
I feel like the more you try to be careful in disc golf, the more you mess up.
That's true.
Like, that's me all day.
Yeah, you try to lay up.
Yeah, try to lay up into a 20, 30-mile headwind, and now I'm putting for double bogey after putting for birdie. And it's that mindset right there of...
Berdoggy
Dougie, yep. It's that mindset of just...
You're almost doing the Dougie, huh?
I do. That one, I don't want to talk about that no more.
Yeah, I know.
Rarely, though, I still was able to beat most of the people in my round. Yeah.
Throw it in trees. I was saying throw it in trees.
Throw it in trees.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to hit, I always tell everyone, if you're going to hit a tree, hit it full speed.
Exactly.
Yeah, I always tell everyone that.
Because eventually, like, you keep throwing that shot, some of them are going to get right through.
Mm-hmm. And
They did.
And then again, it's okay to miss. It's okay to have a bad shot, and that's where you learn the most: how to scramble, how to get out of situations and whatnot. But yeah, kicking it forward, right? Just kind of wanted to get back into our giveaways, right? We want to kind of keep that going. We kind of enter that going into late in the year. We want to do more of it next season. We want to continue to kick our viewers up, continue to advertise. Please continue to like, subscribe, share. All the videos are, to me, I've liked them so far. They've been super interesting. They teach us about the people in our community, resources in our community. And more or less, we've had a pretty good follower all year around who actually won our last giveaway, which we're still getting you the ride, Mitch. We're going to make sure we get that over to you. I believe we're trying
to get it going.
Yeah, we'll get it to you, though. Like I said, we were going to mail it ultimately, but we would like to meet you in person. Because we have another giveaway to give to you, as you were our winner again in this last week's raffle. Mitch, from an hour after we posted our video, texted us the secret word. Always listening, always a pretty good VIP member so far. We're gonna like GK Pro. We're gonna have VIP members.
Oh yeah,
Mitch Ronald's name's gonna be on there. But we want to see everyone's name on there. We want to see.
Tell your friends.
Continue
tell your
to help
grandmas,
everyone.
tell your nieces, tell your nephews, tell your cousins, your
abuelos. How can we not take advantage of what we've got going on?
Yeah. And then ultimately want to give you a way for listening, right? I mean, hopefully we're some good listening time on your way to work or during work, things of that sort. Just something to hear. We love talking about the community, what's coming, what to look forward to. But yeah, Mitch Rondo, we have another surprise for you. We got a special mint disc, Disc Kings disc coming your way. So be on the lookout for that. I know you'll be excited for to hear that. I don't know how much you throw mint, but that's what you're wanting, along with the Goose Promotions towel. So we'll get that to you along. We'll figure things out. We'll DM you.
So if you like getting stuff, make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and shout us out. And we'll definitely be looking out for you. And we got some big plans coming up for Disc and That podcast.
Yeah. And we have a couple episodes left before we take a break for the season. Kind of let get back with the family for the holidays, and we'll be back up and going January, February when the season starts. We're gonna try and do it bigger next season. We're excited. Try and maybe have some of the same guests back on with us. Maybe them join us with some of the other people just to kind of catch up, kind of see what everyone got planned for the year. But I'm excited. We have our end of league party starting this weekend.
I'm excited, man.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, gentlemen? What score in MPO takes it down?
Great. That much OB at Greytown.
I'll say 12. 12 down.
12 down?
I want to say 13.
13. Is that for dubs or is that for singles?
That's for
singles.
Okay, for singles. And then
no, you know what? I think it'll be 10. I think it'll be 10 or 12 for the singles, and for doubles, I think that'll be 13 or 14. It should be higher, but since there's that much OB, I don't know.
Honestly, I say 16 or 16 down takes it in dubs, and I'm gonna go ahead and say a 9 down takes it in MPO. It depends. 9 down if there's win. I'm gonna say 11 down if there is no win, just because that plays a factor.
I'm gonna say 12 if there's no win, and I'm gonna say 10 if there is win.
Yeah.
And as far as dubs, probably 17, man.
Yeah, right.
If there's no win, 17. If there's win, I'd say 13.
Yeah, it's gonna be up there. So fun weekend. Shout out to ACDC, Kraken Chains, Proline. They're holding a great event. We got $1,000 ace pots, $500 to $1,000 additionally added per glow round, dubs round, and single round. Then you got the ace race being held by Brian there on Sunday. We're gonna have some brisket tacos, things of that sort. So looking forward to it. And again, this is the stuff that we're gonna kind of start talking about early on next year to make sure that you're part of it next year, 2024. But man, Rob, anything else? What you got?
Just want to thank our sponsors, Disc Kings and
Imagine the Reaction. Also, Veronica told me for our next giveaway, we're going to include some of her specialty candy from her business. It's Sweet Road Creations. So make sure you're listening in. We're going to do one more giveaway, a little bigger to finish off the year. So make sure you listen.
We also got a very special guest coming in and another special guest. So Please tune in to finish off the year with a bang, and we'll definitely have Orlando back on as one of our
your sponsor.
And definitely like to shout out my sponsor, Gateway Disc. Thank you for all y'all do. Love getting the awesome discs that are coming out, and the team champ, and definitely being part of that community, and hope to represent y'all well, and hope to bring more people to the family and to keep it going. Finish the season strong, and then hopefully see where the future takes us.
Yeah. And Orlando, got anything? Any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, man. Actually, I do want to say thank y'all for having me on the podcast.
Yeah.
It's not very often that I get to do something like this.
Yeah,
but I do enjoy getting to share a little bit about where I've come from, what I've done, what I've accomplished, or what I've experienced. That way I could probably help the next person get to their next step and their next level.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining us too. And it's crazy when you talk about it. It's like, man, we're gonna talk for an hour, and you realize at the end, it's like, man, we just barely scratched the surface, right?
But no, we're definitely gonna have more content and have him more on, and just definitely have a conversation. The format is fluid. We look forward to hearing from you guys, and definitely follow and like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for the night.
Stay tuned for the next episode.
Peace.
Take care.